Hi, welcome to this week's video. My name is Paul. So this week is, well, on Sunday night I did a bit of sketching. I was just listening to some music and doing some sketching. Nothing unusual about that, something I do quite often, but I don't usually record myself doing that. I don't videotape it. But on this occasion I did. I don't know why, but I did. So that's what we're going to watch me doing for the first couple of minutes or so of this video. The sketching itself, as you can see, I was just playing around with ideas of flower arrangements. Again, there's no planning, there's no references, it's all just very spontaneous and imagination, that type of thing. Mainly, it's not so much the subject matter. It could be anything. I could be drawing dinosaurs or parked cars or whatever it is. It's not, the flowers are not themselves that important. It was just, I enjoy the process of making the marks on the paper. These pencils that I'm using, these are by a company called Derwent. Specifically, the pencils I think are called Graph Tint. So they are graphite, but they're graphite mixed with various other things, so they're colored. I think they're water soluble as well, but I don't use any water. I don't try and treat them as watercolor in any way. But I like drawing with them because they're very, very soft. And with the soft pencils, you can get lots of different marks. You know, the amount of pressure that you put on the pencil and varying that, you can get thin lines, thick lines, and so on. And it's just an enjoyable process making those marks on the paper. So it's just a fun way of spending a couple of hours or so on a Sunday evening. Usually when I do the sketching, that's kind of it. I do it in the sketchbook. I fill up the sketchbook and move on to another sketchbook, and I never do anything with the sketches really. But on this occasion I decided that on the Monday morning I decided I would maybe have a go at doing some pastel painting, drawing, sketching, whatever you want to call it. And I would use one of these sketches as sort of starting point, and it's specifically this one that I'm doing at the moment. So again, with the soft pastel version, I'm not using this sketch as a reference, but the idea is in my head. So I have a rough idea of what I want to do. The reason I don't usually use references or drawing from the sketches is I really don't like drawing from references. I find that when I try to do that, everything sort of tightens up and it just doesn't look so good. It's not as spontaneous. So I prefer drawing from imagination and things. So let's say these are 3 of the sketches I did. There was about 6 or so in total. And the middle one is the one that I'm going to try and convert into a soft pastel version. So as I said before, the soft pastels, I am absolutely not an expert in how to use soft pastels, or I'm not even going to pretend that I know what I'm doing or that I can give advice to anybody. But I suppose I can talk about the materials that I'm using anyway. So the paper is called Pastel Mat. I forget the company that produces it, but it's Pastel Mat is the name of the actual paper. It's a coated paper, and you can get it in various different colors. You can also get it with just white. I usually buy it in, you can buy little sort of drawing pads where you get about 25 sheets, and it comes in 2 forms. One is the warm colors and the other one is the cool colors. So this particular piece of paper comes from the cool colors. And the cool colors, I can't remember them all. There's a white, a blue, maybe a green, and this sort of darker, I guess, sort of charcoal grey, maybe. And then the other ones, the warm colors, the red, orange, that type of thing. Because it's a coated paper, it is quite good at, it allows you to build up layers, which is the way I like to try and use soft pastels, at least at the moment. The thing about soft pastels, of course, that's very different from using paints like watercolor, oil color, whatever, is you can't mix the you can't mix the soft pastels the way that you can mix paint in a palette. But one thing you can do is put down one layer of pastel and then sort of gently putting another layer on top of that, so you get some of the color from underneath showing through, and that's one way of sort of mixing colors. The coated papers allow you to build up those sort of layers, and this pastel mat is one of the best ones I've found for building up layers. The one thing about the pastel mat paper is once you put the pastel down, it's kind of stuck there. You can't really smudge it or blend it the way you can with other papers. The pastels themselves are, there's a mixture of different pastels, and you can see them there on the left. Most of them are Sennelier and Schmincke soft pastels, especially Schmincke. Schmincke pastels probably about 80%. Most of the rest are Sennelier soft pastels, and then you can see a few sort of squarish, thin squarish pastels. They are the harder pastels, sort of Conte type of pastel. Those sort of pastels are probably better for doing, if you want to do any sort of details, or maybe an original sketch or something on the paper, like I did with the white Conte pastel. The Schmincke and Sennelier pastels, I prefer Schmincke. The colors on both brands are very, very good. They have a wide range of colors. They're very good. The reason I prefer the Schmincke is I just find that the sort of manufacturing quality is more consistent. The Sennelier, so when you buy the pastels individually, they are usually wrapped in a thin plastic coating. When you take that coating off the Sennelier pastels, I've found in the past anyway, a few times that they sort of disintegrate into dust. And I don't know if it's just because they've been badly handled by the shop or whatever, or if the manufacturing process for Sennelier isn't as consistent as the Schmincke pastels. But it's something I've found a few times with Sennelier pastels. You can also, of course, buy the pastels in boxes and you get a certain range of colors and things. I just sort of prefer to buy them individually. Again, the final result, I wasn't trying to get any sort of naturalistic version of flowers. They're not even real flowers, they're just something coming out of my head. So the final result, I like it, but I can see why a lot of people probably wouldn't like it. It's not naturalistic, it's a bit sort of, it's more like illustrative or illustration rather than what some people call fine art, I guess. But anyway, I like the colors and things, and it was fun doing it. And as I've said many times in many videos, that's kind of the main thing I'm interested in, is making art should be fun. It's something I enjoy doing. And this is a scan then of the final painting. Okay, well, if you enjoyed the video, if you stuck with it, thank you for watching. and hopefully see you in the next one.